Hi everyone and welcome back. Well, I hope you're all keeping safe and well, and thank goodness we've got our artwork, our drawings and paintings to keep us occupied during these times. Well, here's another drawing for you. It's done with graphite and ink, so I guess we could call this mixed media. I'm just actually testing out a new A5 sketchbook which has just been sent to me. There'll be a review of this coming up very shortly, so all will be revealed then. So yeah, this is just going to be sort of a little woodland path with kind of misty trees in the background and everything. I did intend to do this one mostly in graphite, but as the drawing progressed, I started to use more and more ink in this, and it turned out to be more of an ink drawing than anything, just a little bit of graphite used just to tone the paper a little bit. I'm actually starting out with an HB pencil here just to get the line drawing in. I just want a few basic shapes, basic lines in there, just enough so I can go over them with the ink pens in just a minute. So it's a very simple drawing to do. I wouldn't say this one is particularly for beginners, but I think if you've got a little bit of drawing under your belt and you've got a few of the techniques already mastered, like the foliage technique that I teach on Patreon, I think you'd be okay with this one. It only took me about 2-3 hours to do. The ink work was quite involved actually. Some of the techniques there were very time consuming, but I think they're very effective. Now graphite and ink together work really well actually. You can kind of use them in any quantity you want. You know, you could do an ink drawing that's 90% ink and use just 10% graphite on there, or you could go to the other extreme and do a graphite drawing, you know, that's sort of 90% graphite and just use 10% ink on there. Both mediums are very compatible together, because sometimes with media like ink, you know, it's basically one tone, it's black, isn't it? You know, if we're just using black ink, we've got the white of the paper and the black of the ink, and we have to invent the greys by doing various techniques with the ink, like cross-hatching or stippling, pointillism, that kind of thing, to give the illusion, you know, of the greyer tones there. You can still do that with this mixed media approach, but it's just that you've got another string to your bow, if you like. You know, you can actually use graphite to achieve some of the mid-tones and the lighter tones without having to rely on, you know, the techniques which I just mentioned. Or another option for you, you can actually water ink down, and you can apply it with a brush or a dip pen or something like that to achieve lighter tones, greyer tones. But I'm not actually using a watercolour paper today. It's basically just a cartridge paper for dry media. So I don't really want to water any ink down and start applying it with a brush, because it might make the paper warp and buckle, and it's like I say, this is the first time I've used this paper, so I just wanted to kind of get the feel of it and just see how it performed with ink and graphite. I just wanted to see if the ink bled through, how well the graphite laid down on there, but I shall certainly be testing this paper with a few light watercolour washes in the future just to see if it will hold up to it. Now the pens I'm actually using in this drawing are the Faber Castell Pitt pens. They're not water soluble, sorry, they're waterproof, fade resistant, archival, just top quality pens really. I bought them in quite a comprehensive set actually. There's some very fine liners in there, there's some brush pens in there, chisel edged pen, so you've got all different kinds of tips and widths of nibs in there. Really good set. Now what I was just showing there on the screen and what I'm actually using now is another Faber Castell Pitt pen, but it's actually a grey tone. This came from another set that I bought which contains 3 cool greys and 3 warm greys, all in light, medium and dark. And I'm just basically using these just to create a few lighter tone trees in the background. I will leave links to all the products that I'm using, well, to all the pens that I'm using in this video. I'll leave links for those in the description below for you if you want to go and check them out. So now I'm using the black ink again, and I'm using the finest pen in the set, which is a 0.1 Very, very fine, precise tip there. Really good for getting small marks, small details, fine branches on the trees and everything. Really nice pen to use, this one. I have actually got other brands of ink pens and liners, marker pens, that kind of thing. Various sets of them. But for some reason I've really taken to the sets of Faber Castell. Each individual pen is really good in its own right, and put them together in a set with all the various shapes and sizes and styles of nibs, you really have got a set of pens there that will just about cover you for everything. So I really do highly recommend giving these a try if you've not tried them yet. Now you probably notice on the right hand side there, the right hand trees, there's gaps in the trunks. You're probably wondering what that's all about. Well, I've left gaps in the trunks there. That's to indicate where some of the lighter leaves and lighter branches will be falling in front of the trunks. So if I go over them entirely with black, I haven't got any light areas left there to actually draw the lighter leaves over. So a little bit of pre-planning when you're working with ink is always a good idea, because it's not a forgiving medium. You know, it's not like graphite. You can't erase it, you can't blend it, you can't lighten it. You know, you can't manipulate it really in any way. Once it's down, it's down. You know, the mark that you've put down is the mark you're going to be left with. So you have to be a lot more mindful about that throughout the drawing. You know, be more conscious about the marks you're making there, and a little bit of pre-planning in advance, leaving the light areas light, you know, as in this case the tree trunks, just leaving those little gaps in between is going to really help me when it comes to drawing the lighter foliage over them. Now I'm sure somebody's going to leave a comment and say, you can actually get erasers to erase ink. Yep, you're absolutely right, that's 100% true, you can. Now if you are going to use ink erasers on your drawing papers and with your drawings, you could run the risk of damaging the paper, and particularly using this method where you're using graphite as well. You know, if you're going to use anything over damaged paper, it's going to really show up. It really will show up. A lot of those ink erasers are really only meant for corrections with handwriting and things like that, just rubbing out a very small area of the paper and just correcting the odd letter in a word or something like that, not a large area. So I mean, I'm not saying don't use them. I'm not I don't tell anybody what to do. I'm just, you know, talking from my experience and trying to give you the best advice I can, really. By all means use them, give them a go. You know, it might work really well for you on your paper and with your techniques. But generally I would say be very careful using things like that, because they're very abrasive, they're very coarse on the paper, and they can alter the texture of the surface of your paper, and like I say, give you different results with your mark making when you're going over those roughed up and damaged areas. Okay, so I haven't mentioned Patreon yet in this video, so I'll just quickly mention that now. There will be a full lesson of this little sketch over on Patreon. There was only 2 videos to accompany this. Like I say, I think it only took me 2 to 3 hours, so full lessons there over on Patreon. I discuss all the techniques that I'm using, and you see everything in real time, step by step, no voiceovers, no sped up videos or anything like that. Everything's all in real time and as it happens, and we've got a great community of people over there. So if you want to join, it's only $4 a month, and you get access to over 500 videos, lots and lots of other posts. There's loads of tutorials over there, tips and techniques videos, a wonderful community of people all posting their artwork on the community section. Very helpful, very supportive group of people over there. I'm sure you'll really enjoy yourself over there. If you're looking to connect with like-minded people and share your artwork, pick up a few tips and techniques and follow along with some of the drawing projects that I do, please check out my Patreon. I think you'll really enjoy it. I'll leave links for it in the description and in the end screen cards as well. Phew. That's it, plug over. Okay, I've got to do it in every video. I've got to mention Patreon somewhere. Some people I know are fed up with it. They keep commenting, stop mentioning Patreon. But this is my full-time job. I have to give Patreon a mention. just like, you know, any other business that advertise their business. You know, I've got to do it. So I'm sorry if you're fed up with it. But it's like I say, you will hear it in every video I make. I will plug Patreon at least once. So I hope you don't hold that against me. Like I say, I'm just trying to earn a living like everybody else. So there we go. Anyway, you can see that I'm just applying a few light layers, look, just to tone the paper a little bit with the graphite. And that's it, that's the drawing finished. You can see there the tape's being peeled off. Some really nice tonal work achieved there with the ink and graphite. So I hope you give this one a go. It's a real fun one to do. It's not too difficult. You know, as long as you can draw a little bit, you'll be absolutely fine with this one. It's not, you know, highly advanced or anything like that at all. Okay, so there's a close-up. It looks a little bit dark actually. It's probably a little bit lighter than that in real life. But there's a close-up there of the finished drawing itself. So I hope you like that. And thanks for watching, everybody. And as always, take care and stay safe. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.